Hey mensen, dit is deel 2 van het Ware Tijd Documentaire van de Hmhs Britannic. Van 2 jaar geleden gemaakt, perfect. We gaan verder.
The crew immediately began to uncover and swing out the boats. Britannic's 55 lifeboats were arranged on a deck
55 reddingsboten.
Titanic. On the forward starboard side were boats 1A through 1C, consisting of large 34-foot rowboats. Amidships in single acting davits were 12 30-foot boats, as well as 12 collapsible boats similar to those found in Titanic. These were numbered 2 through 13 and 2A through 13A respectively. The middle set of gantry davits held 12 more 34-foot boats, numbered 4.
Voor de mensen die niet weten wat het verschil eigenlijk is. Deze davits kunnen veel meer lifeboats van het schip afhalen. Dus dat is veel veiliger. Dit zijn elektrische lifeboatmasten eigenlijk. Davits ook wel genoemd. Die laadkabel is moeilijk aan het doen. Maar goed, let's go.
14A through 14F and 15A through 15F. The aftmost gantry davits held 10 34-foot boats and 2 34-foot Thornycraft motorised boats. These were numbered 16A through 16F and 17A through 17F. After the shade deck, where originally 2 more gantry davits were designed to be installed, here Wayland davits held 2 30-foot boats and 2 collapsibles numbered 18, 18A, 19, and 19A. At the end of the sinking, of the 55 boats on board, only 35 boats would be launched.
The first boat to leave the Britannic left at around 8:20 a.m. A group of frightened firemen swung the boat out and climbed aboard themselves, lowering the boat with only a handful on board, despite its capacity of around 65. However, Assistant Commander...
Deze lifeboat was niet veilig. Dus daar is de lifeboat. Het schip vaart nog altijd vooruit. Ik ga het iets luider zetten, waardoor jullie nog altijd kunnen volgen.
Commander to the Britannic, Captain Tijd, ordered the boat to rescue people as they jumped overboard, so these seats were not entirely wasted.
Ik weet niet of dat is op dit stuk ongeveer. Ik laat het zo.
Immediately I swung out 2 boats which were promptly rushed by the stewards, followed by my working crew of about a dozen sailors. As this was only a sudden panic, I was able to persuade them to get back to their positions. I must say that my sailors were wonderful after this first panic, and not one offered to leave the ship before receiving his orders. 5th Officer Gordon Fielding.
After a certain interval, the steering gear having apparently failed, I turned the ship to head for land under her own steam. I had tried compensating for our jammed rudder by running the engines on one side of the ship harder than the other.
The ship begins to lose control as the helmsman reports steering failure. For one reason or another, the steering gear no longer responds. The captain tries to use the propellers to steer the ship, using higher power on the port side that would turn the ship slowly to starboard, towards Kia.
I snatched up my coat, rug and life belt and commenced along the long corridor to the wards to see if help was needed with the patients. It was a terrible sight. Men who could barely walk struggling to climb the stairs. The screams and shouts could be heard all over the ship as the badly injured were being moved. We all helped until the very last minute when we heard the cry of our dear brave matron saying, "Hurry up, my dear children." Nurse Ada Garland.
I broke off from the group and entered my cabin. I indulged in a few bites as I pocketed my possessions. A ring my friend had given me, and my clock, of course. This clock was the most precious gift a friend had given me. Then there was my prayer book and my toothbrush. The latter was because I complained about not being able to acquire a toothbrush while on board the Carpathia after the sinking of the Titanic. I was now experienced with surviving shipwrecks. One might even call me an expert. I was advising people that they should wear their coats over their life jackets, and not the other way around. Should they find themselves in the water, they will need to drop off their coats, which becomes harder when the lifebelt is over it. Despite my frequent advice, I found myself having accidentally done the opposite.
Most of us put on our coats and all took our life jackets and started for the boat deck. When partway up the emergency exit, an officer hailed us with, "You better hurry up, ladies." Then we knew there was more cause to hurry than we thought, and as soon as we got on top, we realised that something dreadful had happened.
Panic was beginning to spread among the people idling on the decks. Fresh in their minds were the sinkings of Titanic and Lusitania. Within only the first few minutes of the explosion, the ship took on a noticeable slant downward toward the bow and a list to starboard. This only increased the panic. Instead of waiting for orders, a handful of lifeboats were launched without authorization from the overseeing officer. Some of the boats cleared the sinking ship, but not all.
Wacht even. Ik wil een foto trekken. Op mijn gsm toch.
The ship had taken on a heavy list to starboard. Then she began to dip heavily forward. The RAMC were paraded on deck, and I am proud to say that anyone would have taken it for an ordinary, everyday parade. Everyone was as calm and as collected as it was possible to be. I never thought for a moment that she would go down as sharp as she did. Corporal Jack Ware, Royal Army Medical Corps.
The first ship to receive Britannic's distress calls was the destroyer HMS Scourge. The Naval Auxiliary HMS Heroic also received Britannic's distress call. They responded to it, saying that they were steaming to the rescue, but Britannic's wireless operator never received the message.
And as we were being lowered, we were almost thrown out of the boat catching the side. However, we eventually reached the water. The propellers were now on water level, and several of the boats were drawn into the whirlpool. The boat I was in, the pulleys taken.
Ah ja. Dit is hetgene waar ik in de vorige video of deze video wil laten zien met die lifeboat en de propeller.
Directly up, was drawn right to the propellers. And then came the decisive
Het schip vaart nog verder.
of my life.
Maar ja.
I could not swim. Yet as I looked and saw men being cut up by those terrible blades, I made a quick decision. My chum could swim, so he dived over the side. I looked after him. We were now almost to the blades, so I jumped into the sea as well. The blades were beating the boats down, and the wreckage was keeping me under, and I could not rise, try as I would. How long this went on, I don't know, but to me it was terribly long. And I had ceased to struggle, never expecting to come out alive, as I was almost gone. I remember my thoughts then were these. This is the end. What a death. I saw my dear wife and dear little children as plainly as if they were standing before me. Then, as if by magic, I caught a breath of fresh air. Corporal Jack Wall, Royal Army Medical Corps.
My name is Henry Pip. I'm a 15-year-old Sea Scout. There wasn't any excitement, as everyone knew their boat stations and went to them without stopping to look for their kits. The Sea Scouts on the lifts worked them for as long as they could, but the ship soon listed so much to starboard that they had to give up and go up to the boats.
I lowered 2 of them down to about 6 feet above the waterline. In spite of the curses of the men in the boats, I kept them there until definite orders from the bridge to launch the boats. 5th Officer Gordon Fielding.
Mensen, ik ga het tweede deel afsluiten. Like, abonneer en ja, daar gaat de tweede lifeboat. Die tweede lifeboat ging ook de propellers in, maar oké. Dat is de voorkant van het schip. Het is op best wel hard aan het zinken. Dit is allemaal roest, die lijnen, maar oké. Like, abonneer en dan het volgende deel wordt het laatste deel voor mijn verjaardag eigenlijk. Plus, dus eigenlijk voor de 1000ste video. Maar goed, like, abonneer en het rode kruis.